Okay, my name is MASHITAH binti SEGAR Alliance RAUF.
My name is MUHAMAD ROSMAN.
And my name is Syahrul bin Aziz.
And now I will present about a biodata of my client. Okay, my client name is Postural Izzati binti Alias, and she is 90 years old, and his birth of date is 29 of December 2002, and she from Jantuk Pahang. Okay, she is 65 kg and 158 cm, and sports that she involved is badminton and netball. For badminton, she involved in women double, and the achievement level for badminton, which is the national level, and netball is state level. For injury that she facing is anterior cruciate ligament, which is ACL. Now I'll proceed with introduction of gait and posterior evaluation. Okay, for information, gait is a complex movement that occurs during a walking or locomotion. Okay, gait necessitates a whole body movement as well as the coordinated action of numerous joints and muscle in our musculoskeletal system. For information, gait necessitates movement of the lower limbs such as our ankles, legs, and knees, as well as our upper body such as hand swing, pelvis, and spine. An individual gait pattern is influenced by several factors, which is age, individual personality, mood, and social cultural factors among them. In a gait, we have to we have divided for two types, which is gait cycle and gait analysis. For gait cycle, it refers to the cyclical pattern of movement that occurs while walking. For information, a single gait cycle begins with the heel of one foot striking the ground and then ends with the same heel striking the ground again. And then for gait analysis, it also known as evaluation or walking analysis. It was a comprehensive evaluation of how an individual stands and walks. In this analysis, we can explain how our legs, ankle, hips, knee, and toes move while walking. Okay, now we proceed with the posterior. For posture is defined as the body relative disposition at any type of movement. Posture also includes specific poses like sitting, walking, standing, and also leaning forward. For information, a correct. Okay. Now we proceed with posterior. For posture is defined as the body relative disposition at any moment. And then posture also include a specific poses like sitting, walking, standing, and leaning forward. For information, a correct posture occurs when a pose, whereas a faulty posture occurs when any static position increases the stress on the joint. For information, posture is also classified into two types, which is a static posture and dynamic posture, which is the body segment are aligned and maintained in specific position. For static posture, the example of a static posture is when you are standing, sitting, and lying or kneeling. While for dynamic posture is the movement of the body or its segment, which is for example like running, jumping, throwing, and even lifting. Okay, for next we go to the postural evaluation. Okay, for postural evaluation, it also known as a postural analysis. It was the process of assessing a patient posture using a series of appropriate tests and a measurement. By doing a gait and posture evaluation, we can observe and analyze the individual gait and posture in a knee injury, such as an ACL, by asking them to perform a gait cycle. From there, you will able to see how they work differently than those who haven't been injured. Okay, now we proceed with gait cycle. In gait cycle, it divided into two major phases, which is stand phases and swing phases. However, they have a further subdivide into a total of 8 subphases. Okay, for information, the stand phases account for 60% of a total gait cycle, and it involves some part of the foot contacting the ground. Okay, in stand phases, it contain of a initial contact phase, loading response phase, mid stand phase, terminal stand phase, and pre-swing phase. And for swing phases, It accounts for 40% of the total gait cycle, during which the foot is not in contact with the ground and the body weight is carried by the opposite leg and foot. Okay, in these phases, it divides into three sections, which is the initial swing, the mid swing, and the late swing. Okay, now we proceed with our client's gait analysis. Okay, like I just mentioned before, in gait cycle, we have two major of phases, which is stand phases and swing phases, but it subdivide into the 8 sub phases. And now we go through one by one by phases. For stand phases, for first section, which is initial contact, during this phase, the client right leg must complete a various task. The weight is concentrated on the right foot during heel strike, and the foot must accept the weight. And during this situation, it known as a loading response. It corresponds to the first 10% of the gait cycle, and at this time, our client did not complain about any pain that she felt. Okay, now we go to the section number 2 of stand phase, which is a loading response. In this phase, it was the period during which the foot is contact with the ground. When the contralateral leg lift off the ground, the phase loading response come to the end of the phases. Now, for the mixed stand phase, in this phase, it was the time between peak knee flexion and peak knee extension, during which the patient may exhibit a gait deviation. Okay, for information, during this phase, there is also have some changes in a knee motion that decrease, and as well as a decrease in external rotation of our client foot. Okay, now for terminal stance, um, this is the phase in which the time span is from peak knee extension to the toe off. During this stage, our patient also has a gait deviation due to increase of knee extension angles. And at this point, our client reports that she feel a little soreness at his knee. Swing phase. This phase is it was the period from two off to the start of the swing phase. Okay, if you have been done this pre-swing phase, it means you have been complete the stand phase, and you need to continue to the second major phase, which is the swing phase. Now we continue with swing phase, which is initial swing. Initial swing is the phase from the start of the swing phase to the maximum knee flexion. Okay, the occurrence of gait deviation caused by a right knee injury. Okay, now we proceed with mid swing. Mid swing occurs from the end of the initial swing phase to the point where the client tibia is in vertical position. And during this phase, our patient complains that she feels discomfort and slightly pain when the leg is in a hanging position. Okay, next is a late swing. This swing phase has concluded that client has been complete the working gait psychoanalysis, and observation have been done, and observation reveal a significant delay in a maximum knee flexion during the swing phase because of an injury that our client have been faced.
First thing first, our knee anatomy has 4 types of ligament with different position, which are anterior, posterior, medial, and lateral. This study will explain about knee injury known as an anterior cruciate ligament (ACL) that result in discomfort, swelling, and bleeding on the inside of your knee. The site, the center of your body, is a band of tissue called the ACL. The thigh bone and lower leg bones are connected by this tissue, which prevent your knee from bending excessively outward. Other than that, a typical injury is the anterior cruciate ligament, which is ACL, which is one of the powerful band of the tissue that help connect your thigh bone, which is femur, to your shin bone, which is tibia. Sports demanding quick pauses or changes in direction Jumping and landing such as football, soccer, basketball or handball are those where ACL injuries are most common happen. Many persons who sustain an ACL can report hearing a pop or feeling like a popping or snapping sensation in their knee. It might enlarge, become wobbly when walking, and get too painful to support weight. For your information, the injury is dependent on how much worse of their injuries. Some people may not always be able to stand or walk on their own and will require assistance from a coach. Depending on the degree of the injury and the treating physician, the ACL can be treated in a variety of ways. Surgery is usually not necessary to treat, which is a grade 1 ACL. Also grade 2 can be treated either way, and grade 3 need a surgery, although there are certain exceptions that is typically case. For component of knee injury, which is ACL, 4 ligaments hold the hinge joint of the knee together. In the knee, a ligament is a structure that keeps the bones together and is in regulating joint motion. There are 2 ligaments deep inside the knee and 1 ligament on each side, which is the collateral ligament. The anterior cruciate ligament, which is ACL, and posterior cruciate ligament, PCL, are the 2 knee ligaments that cross one another. Both ligaments are connected to the apex of the tibia and the femur, respectively on the opposite side of the body. Other than that, the ACL regulates how far forward the tibia can slide in relation to the femur during activity because it's implied to limit excessive forward motion, while some mobility or sliding is acceptable and necessary for knee function. Excessive motion can harm other knee components and cause long-term issues in some patients. Other than that, numerous conditions can result in ACL damage or injury. The most frequent mechanism occur when a player suddenly pivots or cut during an athletic event. This happens frequently in football, basketball, and other sports. The ligament may also rip because of car accidents or workplace injury. There may have been a pop or snap sound at the time of the injury. The level of pain felt immediately after the injury varies greatly, but it can be intense. Other than that, the person usually feels as though a serious injury has been occurred and is unable to resume play or activity after get the injury. Okay, for patient general impression, first thing first, Putri Nuraili Izzati binti alias is 19 years old and has suffered a knee injury which is anterior cruciate ligament. Based on exchange that enable us to share some details about her injury. For your information, she is a student right now and play netball in a sporting event in 2019. She started getting ready to play in a netball competition during the last break of the semester. Unluckily for her, an opponent's lateral side strike during the game struck her at the knee. She was currently in pain and discomfort, but she didn't hear a pop sound. She then made the choice to schedule a consultation to determine the cause of her pain. On November 17, 2020, she was sadly identified by the doctor as having a grade 1 anterior cruciate ligament injury. For site of injury, an anterior cruciate ligament, which is injury, ACL, occur when the knee is overstretched or torn, most frequently during athletic competition and training. A rib can be either entirely or partially torn. The most important stabilizing ligament of the knee is not completely torn by the injury. It is challenging to pinpoint the injury's precise location because the anterior cruciate ligament is positioned in the middle of the knee, behind the patella tendon. The tibia and femur are joined by a band of tissue called the anterior ACL, which stabilizes the knee joint. The fifth ligament can be stretched to a certain extent before becoming injured. During athletic, twisting, cutting, and decelerating frequently result in this situation. Okay, mechanism of injury. The most common method in sports like football, netball and rugby in the sudden pivot or catamount ligament ruptures can also be broken by workplace accident or transportation mission. At the time of an injury, a pop or snap may occasionally be heard or felt. The degree of pain experienced at the time of the incident may have very greatly depending on the severity of the damage. Usually, the person feels seriously injured and is unable to continue playing or engaging in other activities. The knee swell right away after injury within the first few hours, but if the knee is quickly immobilized or treated with ice, the swelling severity can be reduced. So for previous injury, she didn't have any previous past injury. For the common symptom is the ACL injury include a popping sound and the impression that the patient's knee is giving out. Other signs and symptoms of an ACL injury include a loud pop sound coming from the knee, and immediate swelling after the injury, loss of fluid or motion, soreness when walking, and a feeling of instability or giving way when bearing weight.
Assalamualaikum. I'm MUHAMAD ROSMAN as a therapist. This our patient Izati. Now, I want to ask her a few questions about history of her injury, which is knee injury. Okay, Izati, can I know what sport do you play?
Saya main bola jaring.
Okay, Izati, can I know how do you get this injury?
Jadi saya dapat injury ni time main bola jaring. Dan tentu nak tangkap bola. Lepas tu ada seorang langgar saya pada tepi.
Okay, Izati, after you get this injury, how do you feel about this injury? Can you describe more detail about it?
Jadi rasa sakit tu, dia rasa dekat pelipat bawah lutut. Dan dia rasa lebih sakit bila kita duduk bersila lama, lepas tu nak bangun. Lepas tu kalau time berjalan tu boleh, tapi kalau lama tu dia jadi sakit.
Okay, no. Okay, Izati, can you tell us how often you feel the pain during you do daily routine?
Sakit tu rasanya setiap hari. Kalau setiap pergi kelas lah, sebab kelas kan jauh. Lepas tu saya pergi kelas berjalan. So lepas balik tu memang akan rasa sakit lah.
Okay, Izati, during rest, did you feel any uncomfortable or any pain at your knee?
Rasa sakit sebelum tidur. Dia ada rasa macam tercucuk dekat bahagian bawah lutut. And kalau macam tengah rasa macam kaki menunjuk lama-lama tu dia akan rasa macam lengan.
Okay, thank you. Izati, have you done any surgery after injury?
Tak pernah lagi, tapi sekarang ni tengah lalui fisioterapi.
Okay. For the last question, do you fully recover or still make an appointment with physio?
Sekarang appointment tu dah tak ada. Dalam fasa sekarang ni dalam fasa recovery.
For objective, first is observation and inspection. First thing first, the client should be standing. As you observe them, we want to learn about the client's typical posture while they are standing. So we ask them to stand like normal standing. From this observation, we may determine if the client's knee is more in the valgus position or more in the varus position while she stands. The load bearing axis of the leg shift to the inside when the leg is in a varus position, pushing the knees outward, and to the outside when the leg is in a valgus position. It is causing the knees to be positioned inward. In addition, the patellar position and the differential in quadriception between the right and left side can be seen to see if there is any possible weakness or strength difference condition. If there is any injury to that area, the muscle's primary job is to keep the knee in place. Additionally, redness and swelling may be another sign of the health of the patella and a sign of the knee joint asymmetry that could indicate unilateral edema. Additionally, the client must complete a walking test so that we can identify and watch the client walk. We need to pay close attention to the client's gait cycle, limping, step height, turning motion, and range of motion as she walks. It is the component that we will use as a goal for our test. Additionally, we must measure the quadriceps circumferences using a measuring tape and compare them to both legs to see if there is substantial difference that could indicate quadriceps atrophy. For any injury, the palpation procedure needs to be tested cause of detect earlier the condition or stage the injury by doing a patellar tap during a knee examination. It is possible to palpate an axial injury. An invasion of the knee joint that is moderate to severe can be found with the patellar prop test. Next, range of motion, which is ROM. It is one of the procedure to know the stage of injury by doing active movement is defined as a movement that the client does out on their own to determine whether they can try to move and to assess their pain threshold. To assess joint function, ask the client to make a few active motions. We need to keep an eye out for any limitation in the joint's range of motion as well as any pain while the client performs each activity. It is crucial to describe and show the customer how to perform each movement to ensure their understanding. Instruct the client to flex their knees as much as they feel comfortable and try to move their heel and close to their body as they can do. Other than that, for any ligament injury usually, the specialist will perform creation type of special test to ensure the injury is a confirmation either positive injury or negative injury. For this injury, the test we will conduct is an anterior dural test to perform the test for axial injury. For palpation procedure, the client or patient need to lie down on the bed or any flat face, and the therapist or specialist will sit beside or in front the client. The suprapatellar pose is released by slipping the left hand down the leg to the upper border of the patella while the client's knee is fully extended. Press the patella with the fingertips of the right and while maintaining the position of the left hand. If fluid is present, the patella will clearly touch the femur as it meets it.
Okay, now I'm going to proceed with the assessment. Based on the information collected in the previous two sections, which are the objective and subjective, Izati has been diagnosed that she experienced knee injury, which is anterior cruciate ligament called ACL. Other than that, all of her lab test is in a good condition. As you can see in the slide, the blood pressure, the pulse rate, and the body temperature. However, when she doing the walking test, she can walk but got a little instability, which means she has a problem with her lower limb. Continue with the planning in SOAP note. There are two terms which are short-term goal and long-term goal in planning. For short term, it is focused on helping the patient achieve their long-term goal. It is to restore function of the injury, such as ROM, range of motion, muscle strength, improve balance and injury management, and of course, it is for initial return to sport activities. As we can see in the slide, week by week, it is to help to manage the injury. Okay, next is long-term goals. Long-term goals in rehabilitation are set to help patients understand what they can expect to achieve during rehabilitation and where they can expect to be in their healing journey in several months or years. In the slide state that stated the consideration during the journey, which are setting objective, protection, and restriction, uh, rehabilitation phases, restore ROM, range of motion, and repair muscle strength.
Next is the exercises that help with SCL rehabilitation. First exercise, we have heel slide. First, start by sitting on the floor with your legs outstretched. Second, slowly bend the injured knee while sliding your heels across the floor towards you. Next, slowly slide the foot back into the starting position and repeat 10 times. Next exercise, isometric quad contraction. First, sit on the floor with your injured leg extended and your other leg bent. Second, slowly contract the quadriceps of the injured knee without moving the leg. The quadriceps are the muscle on the front of your thigh. Next, hold for 10 seconds. And then relax and repeat 10 times. Next exercise is wall squat. First, step forward while standing with your back against a solid wall. Your feet should be apart by shoulder width. Second, reverse the slide so that your thighs are parallel to the ground. Your ankles and knees should be in line. Third, to achieve a steady position, distribute your weight evenly and grab the ground with your feet. Your head and upper body should be propped up against the wall. Fourth, while focusing on your core, pre-tension your shoulders and hips. Your pelvis should be somewhat tucked in and your ribs should be down. Fifth, hold the wall squat position for the required period while maintaining your alignment and full body tension. And the last one, after your preferred number of sets, stand up and stretch. Next exercise is knee flexion. First, lie on your stomach with your leg straight. Next, bend your injured knee and bring your heel towards your buttocks. And repeat 10 times.
Next is recommendation. By following this recommendation, patient with SCL injury can achieve optimal recovery and return to their desired activities safely. Other than that, the patient can improve quality of life with a proper management of SCL injury and economic benefits, which can save money in the context of health and social care. As for conclusion, SCL injury rehabilitation is a process that focuses on restoring the main function of knee. Back on rehabilitation goal, we have two terms which are short-term and long-term goal. Short-term is a management to achieve the long-term goal, while long-term goal is helping the patient to understand their own journey of healing. Lastly, it is important to give cooperation with a skilled physician, and you need to give huge commitment with a rehabilitation program that be given to you. I think that's all from our group. Thank you.